Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for organizing this meeting and for having me here to present. I'm trying that I know what I have to do. Perfect. Okay, we heard a lot about carbohydrates and carbon. I'm going to try with this presentation to give you some basic concept about what is carbon and how this changes within the tree through the season, and also some example of how it can be useful for improving our management in pistachio and in general in tree systems. So the presentation, this is the outline. We're going to discuss about the tree carbon budget, so all the factors affecting it, so photosynthesis, respiration, growth. We're going to make some example of how the branch of pistachio is affected by the crop load, and then we will move into winter and discuss about the possibility of using carbohydrates for tracking dormancy and to manage orchard during the winter season. Some key concept, because they're going to help us through the presentation. We hear about carbon, carbohydrates, and non-structural carbohydrates, so what they are. So carbon comes from the CO2 in the air, goes in the leaves through the stomata, and the photosynthesis produces sugars. Okay? Sugars are used primarily to grow anything in the tree, so they get fixed inside fruits or roots or trunk, and this is what we call structural carbohydrates. Then can be used for respiration. We cannot make anything. Everything that is living respire, and is the energy that the tree needs to do any type of process. Whatever is left over from these two processes is going to be stored as a resources. These are the non-structural carbohydrates. We include sugars and starch, and they are very important when photosynthesis is not enough to supply resources to the tree. So they are kind of the bank account, the stored energy for the tree. This is a visual example of what I just described. Okay, so we can imagine that the tree is continuously in this kind of budget between input and output. Our input is only one, and there is nothing to do with the photosynthesis. That's all. It's a lot. Our output is growth and respiration for all the part of the tree. And then we have this pool of storage that is made of starch and sugars that is not stable. There is always a transformation between the two. So starch can become sugars is needed, and sugars can go starch if there are too many sugars. This is very important. Non-structural carbohydrates, so our reserve pool of the tree, is continuously influenced by these three factors and by their combination. So we want to always keep in mind that there is not, all the times that you look at the non-structural carbohydrates level, you want to think about what was your yield, what was the weather, what was your management. We're going to break down the budget in its own part. So the first is the income, right? The photosynthesis. Okay, all our management, so the photosynthesis happens in summer, right? And all our management practices, as we develop in the years, focus on really maximizing photosynthesis. We spoke about pruning, we want to maximize leaf area to catch more light. And we do pest management, we leach salt, or we apply fertilizer to maximize, have a green and healthy canopy for making photosynthesis. We irrigate to keep the stomata open because we want to have as much CO2 as possible. But what about the intrinsic photosynthetic rate? We know way less about this, but there is a rate that is like at any unit of CO2 and unit of light. It's like the salary rate, okay? You can make like $50 per hour, 20 or 100 or 200. And this can be also affected, they can change by factor that we can control less. These are three factors that has a lot of impact on the intrinsic photosynthetic rate in pistachio, in any tree. Okay, leaf age, crop load, and temperature. Okay, leaf age. This is like, if you look only at the graph in the bottom, you see a decline of photosynthesis through the season. Okay, as the leaf become older, they do less photosynthesis. This can decrease from a maximum of 30. The unit is micromoles per square meter per second, and I'm saying it now, and I'm not going to say it again. Okay, you know it. It's just how much carbon is fixed in a specific amount of time. So it goes down. So as the leaves get older, they decrease their photosynthetic rate. From about 30, 28, that's the maximum, to 10, 10. But however, if you see the two graphs, in the bottom we have a branch with very few nuts, just one cluster. And in the top, we have a branch with 3 clusters, so very loaded. And you can see there is a really different pattern, a linear and kind of a S shape, right? So what is happening here? There is, in July, so 1st of July, we have higher photosynthetic rate in the highly bared branch. So if I say 1st of July, you think kernel growth, right? So what's happening here is that the nuts are growing, so they start to use a lot of sugars, and the level of sugars in the leaves decrease. The leaves feel that they are not enough sugars, and they upregulate their photosynthesis. So what happens in basic and pistachio in any leaves is that if the leaves have a lot of carbohydrates, because there is no use, they downregulate the photosynthesis, and the opposite happens. However, after a little bit, and this happened in August, there is a drop of photosynthesis in the bearing branches. And those are the kernel that basically are promoting an early senescence. And you can see this, you experience looking at the trees and seeing sometimes the bearing branches becoming more yellow. But the photosynthesis decline earlier even that you can see these symptoms. So what is telling this? It does probably when we think about how this distributes our resources through the season, that distribution, like water, for example, may be different in a bearing year with respect to a non-bearing year. And there is a lot that we can still learn in terms of managing differently the orchard if it's an on or off year. Because really crop load affects the pistachio response a lot. We saw it also in irrigation trials and in other situations. Okay, temperature reduce photosynthesis. This is data from Golden Hill, measured in woodland by our graduate students, Amrit, and I was surprised to see the rate. The rate of decline is really high. So we calculated about 10% decrease in photosynthesis per each degree Fahrenheit above 90. So it really goes down. When you write to 105, basically you have 8 versus 30. That's a strong decline. Respiration, this is our first output. Okay, now we have our income. We did all the good, and we have a lot of photosynthesis and a lot of sugars, how they are used. Respiration is a very important and under-evaluated part of the use of carbon. We calculated that in a branch, bearing branch can be above 40% of what he assimilated through the photosynthesis. So it is affected by organ type, organ growth stage, organ size, and temperature. In the graph, you can see the seasonal trend of respiration of a pistachio leaf through the season. And it's very clear that the respiration rates are way higher at the beginning of the season when the leaves are growing actively, and then they settle down after 20 days after full bloom and become lower level of respiration, okay? So the loss in respiration are way higher at the beginning in that first 20, 30 days when the pistachio is growing very quickly. Also, respiration is affected by temperature. This is like a simulation. It's as close as possible to reality, but it's made on pistachio grown in Italy, not here. So I assume that will be a little bit different for higher photosynthetic rate, but it's to get the idea, okay? Temperature increase, the respiration increase. The two lines in blue are the respiration rate of a branch with one cluster or 4 cluster. So the more cluster, the more respiration, because everything respires. So as we go high, temperature, respiration increase, and photosynthesis goes down, and we can see clearly a cutoff at around 105, where we are really like, basically the trees is not, all what is done, is produced, is used just only for respiration. This means very few left over for growing your fruits. So this like really connect with what Steve was saying about these weeks of really hot weather, like where basically the pistachio are like not able to accumulate. They have to go probably use resources. But we cannot stop, like for example, never stop, even if they're not making photosynthesis, irrigation is still important for the temp. We want the tree to transpire to avoid even worse damage to the leaves, because the transpiration allows to maintain lower temperatures, okay? But this is what happened, like above 100, we're really playing with lower income and more expenses. Now, once that we have all these sugars and we have to distribute it across the different organ in the tree, we wonder, okay, where do they go? Do they go distributed all the same way, or they prefer to go to the roots? And there is a simple rule about this, that is the closest and the strongest sink will get all the sugars produced. So if you are familiar with a branch of pistachio, where there is the cluster on the top, the leaves on the top and the cluster on the bottom, so it's easy to understand that all what is produced by the leaves is really going to be drained within the branch, okay, by the cluster below. And if there is any leftover, then it's going to go down to the next sink. That will be probably the closest branch with fruits and nuts. So then what is left over can go to reserves and other places. So this is why when we have a lot of nuts, they become really like a strong drainage of resources for the pistachio tree. And this is what we see then as alternate bearing in a practical, from a practical perspective. So here I'm putting everything together. This is a simulation of the budget of carbon for a pistachio branch. So we have 3 lines. The green line is a branch without nuts, okay? The red line in the center is a branch with 2 clusters, and the pink salmon color line in the bottom is a branch with 4 clusters, okay, very highly loaded. So we start from 0 at the beginning of the season, and then we go toward the right, we advance and day after full bloom until basically after harvest. So basically, at the beginning, so what you can see at the beginning is a very negative carbon budget. What does it mean? That basically at the beginning, from the beginning until, let's say, around 40, day after full bloom, the pistachio use more what the branch, this is at the branch level, uses more what it can produce. This is just normal, right? The leaves are developing. For the first 10 days, the leaves, they have to take care of themselves, so they use resources. And then they start to produce some photosynthesis, but the nuts are growing very fast in that first 30 days. So all the resources are used, and they even need more. So they come from your carbohydrates accumulated the year before. So it all goes in resources. So there is this drainage, and as you can see, the more nuts you have, the more the drainage of resources is gonna be. So this is why then at the end you're going to have a depletion of your NSC storage level. Then from there, so we're basically 30 days after full bloom, so we're at the beginning of stage 2, and we start to accumulate resources. And this is when we build our resources for next year, right, for our next spring. However, the rate of accumulation is not going to, even if, let's assume that we do everything at the best that we can, perfect irrigation, perfect fertilization, your rate of accumulation is going to still depend on your crop load, because the needs for the nuts to be filled is there, and you cannot get rid of it. So basically, how much you will accumulate at the end of the season will eventually depend on what is your crop load. So you're going to end up with a different amount of carbohydrates. So having a lot of carbohydrates at the end of the season is not necessarily a good thing. It doesn't mean that we are amazing growers. It just can be that we didn't have yield the same year. So we come back to the 3 points that I described at the beginning, where really the yield has a strong effect on determining the carbohydrate balance in the pistachio branch. Then there is this rate of accumulation, and eventually you can see here the effect of senescence with the bearing branch continuing to accumulate until the season, and then bearing branch really not accumulating a lot after harvest. Okay, we're moving in winter, and I'm gonna drink a little bit, sorry. So in winter we have no photosynthesis, we have no growth, but we still have translocation of carbohydrates within the tree, and we have respiration. The carbohydrates will go from the top to the roots, mainly in fall, and then opposite direction in spring to support the growth. Respiration will eventually reduce carbohydrate storage, just because we have no input and we have only use. But however, it's not so simple. It's not just a decline. There is something else that is happening continuously, which is this transformation of sugars to starch and starch to sugars. This is depends on temperature. So when temperature is cold, starch becomes sugar in a simplified way, and when temperature is warm, sugar becomes starch. So based on this change, there is the possibility to characterize dormancy as a function of non-structural carbohydrates dynamic. This is very important because we have no clue. I call the winter in January the black box. I mean, we really don't have clue what is happening to the tree until it's bloom, right? And most of the management practices, like applying dormancy breaking agent, we do just, okay, 50 chill portion. But we know that the chill portion are really not the best representation. So it's like irrigating just based on ET or going in the field and measuring stem water potential. So, but we don't have so far anything that we can measure in the field in winter that can tell us what is happening. So this is like one first attempt to develop a physiological indicator for winter in trees. This study is made in cherry. It started from a request of cherry growers because for them it's very important to apply Dormex, but the time of application is very important. So they ask us to improve the efficacy or give them some new tools to when to apply Dormex, but it can be extrapolated to any tree. Okay, so we took samples for several years across California. We have 4 orchards in 3 years, and we found this pattern in terms of carbohydrates. So this is starch. Starch, we say, like there is respiration, so the starch decreases through the season, right? And then at one point it stopped to decrease. And that happened in this point, which is basically, this was the 15th of January. So why, there are no leaves, there is no change in temperature, why starch should stop to decrease on the 15th of January? So the reason is that the trees is making some physiological changes to stop the reduction in starch in that specific period. Then it goes up in the middle of the winter, and then eventually goes down again, triggering bloom. At the same time, something similar is happening with the sugars. So the sugars are really keeping very, very high level, promoted by the low temperature through all the winter. And so we can see the sugars always maintaining that level above 40 milligrams per gram through all the winter. And at one point, just after we saw that stop in decline of starch, we see a strong decline in sugars, really dramatic, that brings bloom. So based on this, we developed this simplified model. We define like paradormancy, endodormancy, ecodormancy, and bloom as a function of these changes. So beginning of the season, sugars goes up, and starch goes down. Then as we go and we enter more into the endodormancy, this process happens continuously, but they slow down and kind of settle on a stable level. And then at one point they switch, and we see that decline in sugars and an increase in starch. We also measured other things in the tree. We measured dormancy with classical method, and we identify this change as the switch from endodormancy to ecodormancy, or the moment of dormancy breaking, as we call it. Then when both parameter goes down, that's what triggers bloom, and really we saw consistently bloom happening after a few weeks of this decline. Okay. We wanted to make this useful for growers, so we ended up with this idea of can we spray Dormex based on starch and sugars level? Okay, we sprayed so at different time of the season, 45, 40, 45, 50, 55, and 60 chill portion. And then the idea is correlating the efficacy of the application with the level of sugars instead of going with the chill portion. I'm not showing the data of this because we have only 1 year. The data are promising, but I want more year before sharing. I'm trying to be like cautious. But it seems there is nice correlation between sugars level, starch level, and bloom parameter. But what I want to share with you is this data because it's very interesting. I always get the question, how does Dormex help the trees? And so this is the results of the application of Dormex on carbohydrates. Is the Dormex applied for 50 chill portion. The green line is the tree sprayed, and the black line is the tree that was not sprayed, our control. The triangle there, that now is with a circle, is the spray time. We spray there, and then you can see what happened after the spray. We had that decline in sugar and an increase in starch. So it's exactly what we saw in the natural condition, and that we characterize as the moment of dormancy breaking, okay? Then, after a few weeks, there was that decline in sugars and starch that triggered bloom. That happened exactly like, even 1 week less, the sugars and the starch decreased, below some specific level. So why I'm bringing this up here, apart that I'm very happy because I think that is the first kind of like frameworks that for me make sense about the function of Dormex in trees, but also because it shows like consistently the importance of and how this carbohydrates dynamic has really linked to the tree dormancy breaking. And it really opens the door for a lot of further study that can help really optimize management in winter. So, okay, this looks complex, but it's just to show, as an example. All the time that I presented this data to the growers, then they ask me, okay, shall I go to the field? Shall I take samples? So we wanted to bring this type of information as something easy to use for the growers. So we thought, you know what, in winter we really don't have photosynthesis, we don't have growth, so can we model, with a model, as a function of temperature, predict the change in carbohydrates? Because that will really simplify our capability to use them, instead of having to sample, to send it to the lab, and so on. So this is a first prototype. We really finished it, I think, 2 weeks ago. It can surely be improved, but we are able, in this moment, to predict the change in carbohydrates. The two lines are the prediction change, in blue and red. One is the starch and one is the sugars. And the point are the measured data, so the data from analysis from the lab. So our idea is like basically that at one point the grower will be able to take maybe one sample at the beginning of the season, maybe November, December, and then the rest will be done by modeling with some weather data in the orchard. Okay, so the take-home message from this presentation, photosynthesis is your main carbon income. Carbon is needed for anything that the tree does. They need energy like us, they need food, and it's done by photosynthesis. All our management practices are already targeting maximizing carbon assimilation. We've been working, my colleagues and I, and all people in the past, all the people that have been working in developing management strategies has made really like a lot of recommendations that help us now to take the right decision to maximize photosynthesis. There are some other things like the effect of temperature that probably we could learn more of, because can have a lot of impact in impairing the carbon budget, as it decreases photosynthesis and it increases respiration, creating a depletion of carbon. Yield is good, we want it, but it's the primary drivers of carbon depletion. So any interpretation has to be of carbohydrates resource has to be linked to the yield that your orchard is, the current year and previous year yield. Crop load should be really integrated in our management protocol. It could help a lot to improve our management by just adjusting some of our current protocol to the crop load. And finally, like a non-structural dynamic dynamic of carbohydrates, non-structural carbohydrates in winter are a promising indicator of dormancy and could be used to support management during this critical period of the year. And thank you so much. I was fast, so there is time for question. Thanks. Bob, for you. Well, the light is terrible, eh?
Yeah. So, Julia, for the growers that go and put on oil or Dormex and then claim they didn't get a response, can you perhaps, with the fantastic research that you've done now, enlighten us on why that might be, why they may not get a good pop from a breast-breaking agent application?
Yeah, so this is what we're doing, trying to correlate the carbohydrates. So what we saw, for example, we have 1 year of data, okay? We're spraying tomorrow the second spray. So it was really something that is going on. But we noticed that the worst spray that we had was like one when basically due to a temperature the week before, the sugars were very high when we spray. So that spray decreased the sugars, but the sugars didn't go below 40. They kept very high. So it could be that really the weather in the week before, because we have weeks where we have a lot of temperature, and these really change and make fluctuates the carbohydrates. So maybe like the time of application, we saw that the time of application makes a lot, but it's not really the time. I think it's really how the weather in the week before, in the days before, made the sugar changing within the tree. That to be proved.
So hot weather before treatment seemed to possibly reduce the effectiveness of the rust-breaking agent. Is that correct?
That was one year and one spray. So I wouldn't bring it, but this was the results. Okay. Thank you.